Good evening. Let's say that one more time. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, everybody. I'm the voice of the Eagles, Adam Cavalier. I'm so delighted to be your MC and host for this, the 22nd induction ceremony to the Carson-Newman Athletics Hall of Fame. If you're unfamiliar with the format, we'll bring each inductee up, do a quick little interview session with them. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Off we go. We'll move on down the line. Before we begin, though, it's such a delight to see so many who are already in this body in attendance tonight. So as I call your name, please stand up, be recognized. We've got 11 who are already in the Hall of Fame in attendance tonight. David Barger, AD Emeritus in the building, is in attendance. Eddie Carter, one of the all-time great rebounder. Eddie, that's your cue to stand up, please. Mike Clowney is here, one of the all-time great tacklers. Larry Cook of track and field fame. Whitney Hickam Cruz, one of the all-time great softball players. Jim Deaton. Where's Jim? That table 16 is well populated back there. Mac Lambert, the legend Mac Lambert. Gene Lively, Dr. Jack Owenby, Danny Sanders, Mike Turner, and Mike Whitley. Give all of our inductees who have been in before a round of applause. And to our 8 who go into the Hall of Fame tonight, we hope you'll come back to future ceremonies and join us as well. One housekeeping item: if you will look on your on the tables, you should see a little glass cup. It kind of looks like a soda can. That is your party favor. So as you exit, those are yours to take with. So please, once we are done, there's a drink to remember tonight's festivities by. So let's kick this off. Our first inductee from the men's soccer team, an alumnus of 2007, Tyler Baldock. Tyler left his stamp on the Carson-Newman men's soccer program as a 3-time All-American goalkeeper. He backstopped the Eagles to 4 straight regular season sack titles, a tournament title, and a regional title. He spent time playing professionally with the West Virginia Chaos, the Vancouver Whitecaps, and the Abbotsford Mariners. He is the Carson-Newman and South Atlantic Conference record holder for career shutouts with 36 clean sheets and his .75 career goals against average and 51 wins are also Carson-Newman best. Please welcome to the stage our first inductee, Tyler Baldock.
Thank you.
Tyler, good Lord, nothing got by you. What was the key, 4 years in goal, to be so dominant for Carson-Newman?
I don't think it was just me. When you look at the players that we had, those guys, made my job a lot easier than what it should have been. But I mean, we all, as a group, we worked so hard for those 4 years, and it was all the extra times. Me and Brad staying for 30 minutes after every training sessions while he pelted me with balls. All the little things that we did, and we did as a team, and that was what got us through those games.
There was, so much success for you both as an individual and for Carson-Newman as a team. 3 times an All-American. Is there a specific season that is a little extra special for you?
Yeah, I think my sophomore season, I think we had a really good group then. I really thought we could have gone all the way. But I think that's when, for me personally, I think I got a lot of the growing pains out my freshman year when I was just so nervous. I wasn't expecting to play at all my freshman year. There were a few injuries, but definitely getting those growing pains out and then coming back next preseason feeling a lot more confident that helped a lot.
Take me through that freshman campaign. What was your, oh boy, here we go moment?
Yeah, I remember Steen, who was the starter, he did a shoulder in, and I thought, oh, okay, maybe I have a chance. And then Kevin, I believe, got injured after that, and then I saw Coach sweating, and he was going, oh man, we're gonna have to put this kid in. And it was one of those moments. I remember the first game was pretty rough, but it was a huge learning curve that you had to get quick.
Your freshman, I believe it was your freshman year, you made 13 saves, which is still second all-time in program history. It was in a 2 overtime PK shootout win over Pembroke in the NCAA tournament. How did that, was that the moment that set the stage for the rest of your career?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that whole campaign, really. We had an unbelievable postseason run, and we played against some like very good teams. I think it was Pembroke and Asheville, maybe. Who was it? Spartanburg. Spartanburg. Yeah.
Number one at the time.
Number one at the time, and to beat them in shootout, like that was unbelievable. And I think that what also set us up for the next 3 years after that, to be honest.
Was the mentality of the team, hey, at least in postseason play, just get to OT. Tyler's got it from here on out.
Some of the guys, I think.
I don't know if you can hear that. Somebody at table 1 said 100% that was what happened.
Yeah, that was Sean Giuseppe, if he wants to put up his hand, midfielder. Yeah, I mean, we never wanted to go to shootout, but as a goalkeeper, you're always definitely a lot more confident when your teammates have confidence in you, that's for sure.
Your last 3 years, you didn't lose a regular season South Atlantic Conference game. Your last 3 years, you had 3 separate 450-minute plus shutout streaks. What's the more impressive feat?
I think the team streaks, to be honest. I mean, to go that long in the conference as a group that's been together for that long as well, and to get those results consistently, that was unheard of. Yeah.
What did Alan Vitale teach you?
Oh gosh, everything. As a player, and you know, I want to say that as a coach, he really taught us as a group what being a team was and what being teammates was. We weren't just a team when I was here. I was luckily handed over to being with now what was my family pretty much, especially being away from home. We had a lot of guys that were away from home, majority of us were. But it was the culture that he created was a family. And that's one of the reasons why I chose Carson-Newman. And blessed enough to have unbelievable teammates, many who came tonight, which is great. I mean, we still talk to each other all the time. We have WhatsApp groups on our phone. I mean, this is 15 years later. Some of us are godparents to others' children, been to each other's weddings, and you know, that's just something that can never be thankful enough for, and that was all driven by Coach.
What was the transition like going from Carson-Newman and McCowan Field to Schoenbaum Stadium and the West Virginia Chaos, and then on to now a coach with Simon Fraser and the Vancouver Whitecaps and their youth stuff? How did Carson-Newman prep you for those next stages in life, both as a professional player and as a coach?
Yeah, I definitely the hard work, you know, all the little details, things that you know, Coach always always taught us the work ethic, everything. That was huge. Try and bring those values into your daily life, and you can't go wrong.
You alluded to it earlier. You talked about the win over USC, USC Upstate, I guess USC Spartanburg at the time. You had 6 wins over top 25 teams in your time. A 3-0 clean sheet over Tusculum when they were ranked 12th as a junior, when you were a junior. Is there one game in particular that sticks out? Is it Upstate when they were number 1 just because of the circumstances of that game?
I think whenever we beat Tusculum, that was always one to remember. Sorry, Coach. But I mean, for me, the big ones that stood out were Pembroke and Spartanburg that first year. I think it was just such a magical year for all of us, and I don't think as a group we ever thought that we were going to be able to do it, and how we came together as a team and got through those tough games, those tough times. Like it was definitely something special.
Who would you like to thank tonight?
I'd like to thank obviously my parents for helping me with this opportunity to come down here. My wife, Kristen. There's, like they say, there's a special place in heaven for coaches, significant others, putting up with a lot. Coach, Alan Vitale, my teammates that are all here, Mark, Brett, Brad, Sean, all the guys that couldn't make it, and just everyone at the school that had, Mike, I don't know where Mike is, there he is. That man spent so many hours trying to keep me fit and get me back on the road to recovery after some pretty bad injuries. And just everyone at Carson-Newman that helped support us in the program.
Tyler Baldock, Carson-Newman Hall of Famer. What's that mean to you?
It's amazing. It's very humbling to be in amongst some very amazing athletes and people. It's just, I can't be thankful enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's officially welcome him into the Hall of Fame, Tyler Baldock.
Thank you.
Our next inductee, a 2003 alumnus, Kyle Gribble of the men's basketball program. He is the first NCAA All-American for the Carson-Newman men's basketball team. Gribble guided the Eagles to a pair of South Atlantic Conference regular season crowns and an NCAA tournament appearance and an appearance in the NCAA Sweet 16 as a junior in 2002. Kyle scored 1,472 points in his Carson-Newman career and added in 694 rebounds. He was named the SAC Player of the Year in 2003 after leading the Eagles to a 20-9 record and their second consecutive South Atlantic Conference title. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Kyle Gribble. You were a part of one of the more magical seasons in Carson-Newman men's basketball history, and didn't start well. Lost 3 straight games.
It was actually 7, counting the preseason. I remember.
But turned it around. 7 straight wins, then 19 straight wins. What was the mood like heading into that year? Some early frustrations and then a Sweet 16 appearance.
Well, we battled with some really good teams in the preseason. Coach Mitchell and Coach Clayton always scheduled some of the bigger D1 schools. We played ETSU. That year we wound up playing Ole Miss after they had just come off of Final Four or Elite Eight. I forgot which one it was, and they were returning their 3 studs. So we played them, and our team was very confident. We used to go at each other. So we went against Ole Miss thinking it's our time to shine. So we get up. I believe I scored the first 7 points of that game, and I did not score the rest of the game. SEC competition, SAC. So we was like, okay, we're going to show the SEC what we're about. Well, I think it was 7-0, 10. I forgot what it was. We were leading for a little bit. We wound up losing by, I believe, 7 points. Is that right, Coach? It was with under 10 points against a team who just went to the Elite Eight in Division I. So that started something. And then we wound up losing a couple more preseason games and then starting the season 0-3. So it was discouraging a little bit, but we still fought.
You had been a good player prior to your junior year, 11 points, 13 points a game, but exploded. 17 points a night as a junior en route to all SAC honors. What changed in your game those first 2 years to your upperclassmen years?
Well, you know, I came here to play football and basketball. So being a quarterback, having that big skin in my hand, then going to basketball was a big transition. And then after my freshman year, decided to play basketball only. So I was able to keep one ball in my hand for a little bit. So it took a full year, I feel like, to really get used to that. And then just put in the work, you know, off season. You know, my two coaches here, Coach White was my high school basketball coach, and Coach Mitchell being the assistant coach here for me here. I was with them during the summer all the time, just working, putting in extra work, by myself a lot of times. Coach Mitchell would be out there with me a lot, trying to play one-on-one with me a little bit too. But we just put the work in all the time. The ball was all, I slept with the ball. It was just, that's all I did.
Jim Deaton says that if he had you at safety in 2002, Carson-Newman football is winning the national championship that year. How did your skills from the football field translate to the basketball court?
Oh, it helped a lot with strength. I mean, being physical. You know, I was a quarterback, so I had to be a leader and see things, direct my teammates. So just, it's like being a coach on the field too, because being a quarterback, you have to know so many different positions. And on the basketball court, it just transferred to that.
Let's break down that 01-02 season. You had won 7 straight before losing at 2 at Wingate on a buzzer beater. Lorenza Harrington hits a layup as time expires for a 2-point loss. How much did that loss galvanize the team to win 19 straight the rest of the way?
I mean, Wingate was a huge rival to us. And me and Lorenzo Harrington had some battles from day one, stepping on campus. So I had a lot of respect for the guy, but this losing period, once we got on that tear where we just played so well as a team and we were winning, we was going to win the rest of the game. The rest of the season, we were going to lose. And to lose that game that way just made it, you know, made us ready to get back in the gym the next morning or that night and be ready to go at it again.
Just for the record, too, Wingate at that point had won 23 straight home games and dodges a bullet, but got them back in the tournament with a double-digit win. Do you have a moment, not only that year, but your time in general, a game that sticks out that after?
The worst game of the year that year, the last game of the season. That's the one that sticks out. We were 1 point away from going to the Sweet 16, and I missed the layup, a layup to win the game. So that was the one that stings the most in my career, Carson-Newman. But
let's go other way. Joyous, happy feelings, not pain and suffering and agony here.
Well, the tournament that year, when we ran through the entire conference, and then smacking them in the mouth, Wingate in the championship was good. Like from the jump, Calvin, Stan, they know we came out on a mission, and we might have been up almost 20 at one point. We were on a mission, and that tournament was really good. And obviously hosting the regional tournament that year was.
You kind of alluded to it. Yes, won all 3 tournament games by double digits, but on that 19-game win streak, 16 of those 19 were double-digit blowouts. Nobody was within a possession of you in that stretch. How much of that is attributed to the talent that was on that team? There were 5 guys who ended up members of Carson-Newman's 1,000-point club. Dustin Edwards, Todd Lucas, Bron Dabbs, Ishmael Simmons. How much did playing with those guys, I know not all of them were on the 01-02 team, but how much did playing with those guys impact your game?
And those guys were talented. And I'd say our team we're full of dogs. We were ready to get after. But what was more challenging was in practice. Our practices were so tough because we were going at each other. I mean, we talked to Coach Mitchell and some of my teammates that my roommate, Todd Lucas, you just mentioned his name, we'd fight every practice, go at each other. So, I wore 23, he wore 33. So we always said, all right, we're the MJ and Pippen. Like, we're going to be the Bulls like that. So we took that, was like, all right, anybody that comes against us, we're going to be on them. And they're not going to be able to stop us. And in practice, we just held each other accountable, and we pushed each other. And we know if we can handle our team and be the best team in the conference, our second team was just as good. And they could finish in the top 3 or 4 in our conference too. I felt like we were that good, that talented. We respected each other, but we respected the game to a point to where we didn't want anybody to cheat the game or cheat your team, because everybody had a role. Everybody accepted their role, and we knew if everybody played their role, we were going to have success.
How did Carson-Newman prepare you for the rest of your life?
Just hard work. I mean, you can't just show up and things happen. You got to put the work in. And, coming from transition from football to basketball, my first 2 years, we didn't have that good of a season. I remember when I told Coach Sparks and some of the football coaches that I was going to just play basketball, I went to Coach Mitchell and told him, we're going to make us a basketball school, because it's always been a football school. It was football, baseball. Basketball had some success, but I was like, we're going to make it known, make basketball known from Carson-Newman as well. So just the hard work, nonstop, being focused, and just, we had, in football, it was the men of excellence. And that same thing is for all sports. And I think with soccer, with baseball, track, any sport, Carson-Newman demanded men of excellence, athletes of excellence, and that just, it still carries the day.
Who would you like to thank?
Let's see, tables 4 and 13.
I appreciate that level of succinctness there.
Yeah. So, obviously, my mom, who's here, I had a group of ladies with my grandma. I call them the Golden Girls of Sparta. I'm from White County, so I call them the Golden Girls of Sparta. Fortunately, one of them is here today, Nellie B. My wife and kids, my mother-in-law and Steve for coming, my brother-in-law. That table back there, Coach Whited, and Coach Mitchell, y'all raise y'all's hands real quick. Just those two gentlemen there have a lot to do with the success I had in basketball. Believe it or not, when I was in high school, I could not shoot the ball that well. And my Coach Whitey would pick me up every morning my junior year, and you're gonna make 100 threes each spot before school starts. You better make it before school starts. You're gonna be late for class. So things like that, push me. Coach Mitchell would do the same thing here at Carson-Newman after practices, before practices, on the weekends. Whenever I wanted to get in here, he was always willing to open the gym and put me through a good workout. And then we got my brother-in-law and sister-in-law here too from Chattanooga came. My teammates, Calvin and Stan, played alongside those guys. We still feel like we could play today. Might play with Coach Benson's team tomorrow at the game. But I also want to thank just first, thank God for just the abilities and for all the gifts that, that he's able to give me naturally. Just a lot of support from a lot of people here that we ran into that I haven't seen in 20 years. They came back and we talked about some old games and stories, just all the support from everybody here that watched the show. Some of them have younger kids now. They took pictures of us and saying, like, my kids used to love when you were here, come to the basketball games, and that means a lot. There's a lot of support from Carson-Newman, and so there's just so much. I know I missed names, but there's just so many people that had an integral part of my success here at Carson-Newman.
Kyle Gribble, Carson-Newman Hall of Famer. What's that mean to you?
Can't put it into words. When Coach Benson gave me a call about it in October, I don't know if I said anything after. I was like, ooh, never thought about it. You feel like when you're still a part of Carson-Newman, but to be on a level with that type of those players, it's just hard work. It makes you feel like all the hard work you put in for so long, graduating 21, 22 years old, 23 years old, all that work you did for 10, 15 plus years, you can't put it into words. So, very appreciative.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome him to the hall, Kyle Gribble. Next up, Jesse Howard Hall, softball, class of 2010. She is Carson-Newman softball's all-time leader in runs scored at this time. She's also the all-time leader in stolen bases and second all-time in hits with 287. She is one of just 9 players in program history to finish her career with a batting average north of 400. Jessie helped Carson-Newman to the NCAA Regionals all 4 years of her playing career and was a part of the program's lone super regional berth in 2009. She was a 2-time All-South Atlantic Conference selection and earned All-America honors in 2008. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome her to the stage, Jessie Howard. My favorite thing about the Carson-Newman softball program, and this is regardless of age, time, coach, this is the 3rd softball player that I've had the pleasure of inducted, and I'm looking at Whitney Hickam Cruz specifically too. The first thing that I hear is, what are you going to ask me? And the first thing I hear after every game, what are you going to ask me? Coach, player, doesn't matter. I don't know what I'm going to ask you, Jessie.
I tried to prepare.
You did try to prepare. Congratulations, first and foremost. I shouldn't say brand new mom, 3rd time a charm,
Yes.
the mom. What's easier, 3rd child or hitting a curveball?
I would probably say the curveball.
You had a ton of success at the plate. 87 hits en route to All-America honors as a junior. You hit 450. Hitting a curveball, what made it easy for you?
Well, I wouldn't say it was easy, but just the hard work that we put in when we would come to practice. I mean, we spent so much time in the batting cage. And I came in with my roommate my freshman year, Bree Kuhn. She was also a lefty slapper. And we would go out there and just, if we were trying to work on something, it was just such a blessing to have her because we worked together. You know, we were the only 2 on the team at that time. And so we just put, you know, that work in. We talk about it after games. So she was a huge part, just having her support in that. And so, yeah, that was great.
I should mention, too, we talked in the introduction, you hit north of 400 for your career. Included in that, you've got some JUCO transfers, some transfers who did it for 2 years. There are only 4 to do that over the course of a 4-year career. You're the 3rd to go into the Hall of Fame. The 4th isn't eligible yet.
Mm-hmm.
The other 2 that are enter, Sammy Hatcher-Chafin and Libby Conley. What made you so consistent?
Well, I think about coming in my freshman year. I was at 3rd base, and the thing that I remember the most is, you know, you come in your freshman year and there's just a lot of changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you are, you know, getting used to a new place to live. You are getting used to teammate, roommates. And so I think in all that, I remember kind of thinking about a Bible verse that would come to my mind, and it was work at everything like you're working for the Lord and not for man, and work with all your heart. And I would say I would go back on that, like when things got hard or things were, you know, when you're just trying to get through, you know, practice or a day, that's something that really resonated with me and helped me continue to stay focused.
Given that philosophy, how challenging is a moment like this where you're being recognized?
It is. That's something, you know, staying at home with the kids and everything. There's one just waving at me.
That's a look right there.
Yes, that's JoJo. It's been really sweet because my husband, he went to Carson-Newman, but we were here at different times. And so when, you know, obviously he knew about my softball career, but it's been so fun because he would, like, you know, get online and, like, look at things, and just been able to, like, kind of impress him or surprise him about stuff. It's been kind of like, it's just been kind of fun, you know, just going back on those things, memories.
I started to write this down on the note card, and then I gave up. How you impacted the Carson-Newman record book. Your name appears 53 times within the records. The top 10 that I started to put down before I quit because I didn't want to burn down trees. 8th in career batting average, 6th in on-base percentage, 3rd in stolen base percentage, 8th in games played and started, 1st in total at-bats, 1st in runs scored, 2nd in hits, 3rd in triples, 7th in total bases, 1st in walks, 1st in stolen bases. That's 12 categories in the top 10 if you weren't counting with me. What was the most impressive element of your game, or the part of the game that you're most proud of?
I would say I came in, like I said, as a 3rd baseman, but Coach moved me to shortstop And that was something that was new. But I was so blessed because you mentioned Whitney, and Whitney was second base next to me, and she had given me my glove. She was a shortstop in high school, and so she just, I feel like, poured confidence into me. And that's something else, like my roommate, we had a special handshake before I got up at bat. And, we did this handshake, and there were so many people that surrounded me to, encourage me and support me, and it was fun. So that's just the people that surrounded me, I feel like, were what motivated that.
You're part of two of the more special teams in Carson-Newman softball history. 2008, school record 49 wins, including 15 straight to close the regular season. 2009, the only super regional team in Carson-Newman softball history. What made those years unique and special?
Yeah, so 2008 was probably the most memorable year for me because, when you're a sophomore, you've kind of gotten through the scary stuff that freshman year, you're used to it. And we had great players. Our pitcher came in, she was a transfer, and she was amazing. Her record was just incredible. And then, like I said, we had Whitney next to me, Mandy, my roommate Bree. That was really special, just playing. I feel like we had the most fun that year. When you're winning, obviously you're having a blast. But we just got along. There was so much camaraderie. And then 2009, we still had a lot of talent. We had another pitcher come in after Zoe graduated, and just continued just to have that camaraderie with the girls.
There's a pretty good middle infield in the Hall of Fame now. You join your former coach, Vicki Kazee Hollifield, in this body. What do those two elements of this induction mean to you?
Absolutely. I think that was honestly the biggest gift that this induction's kind of given me, was giving me the ability to, reconnect. Mm-hmm. Reconnect with Whitney, reconnect with Coach. We had dinner. We, got to go down memory lane, and she was a huge part of me coming here to Carson-Newman. You go on some other visits, and Carson-Newman, not only was it an amazing softball program, but Coach cared about who we were going to be, not only on the field, but off the field. She had a high standard for our play, but she had a high standard of, wanted us to be, in the classroom. We needed to, conduct ourselves like young ladies on the field, be good sports, be good teammates, and the most important thing, the thing that drew me was, she was the only coach, that talked about, going to church together, having devotions. That was in Carson-Newman, having that faith-based program. And so for me, those are the things that drew me to this school, and Coach was a huge part of that.
What's your biggest takeaway from being a part of that program that you apply day to day now?
Yeah, and that's what's so interesting is, you go through playing softball and you think, what does this have to do with life? And, I'm just throwing a ball around. But then, the hard work, the dedication, knowing what it takes to give 110%. I joke a lot. I was a high school teacher, and everybody always says, teaching, that first year is really scary. It's really hard. And I walk in and I'm like, this first year, it's a breeze. After what I've, kind of gone through with just 4 years of playing softball and going through school, and she just really prepared us for, what came next. And it was very noticeable, the next steps.
Who'd you like to thank tonight?
Yeah, so I have a list. I was writing down. Whitney joked about me. She goes, don't forget to, write that down. And she had done her induction, and I watched it and stuff. And because that's the most important part, is the people who made an impact on you and that were a part of this process. And so I first want to thank, I have to look at my dad. We started this. He's been my biggest supporter, my biggest fan. He was our coach pitch, back in the day when we were 5 years old. We still watch home videos of it. But, he made sacrifices. We went to tournaments all summer long playing softball. We, took me, I played and practiced in Chattanooga, which was an hour away from where I lived in high school. And Dad was always there. I was getting ready to go at bat, and he was through the net, telling me, oh, you're the best, you can do this. He supported me and believed in me even when I wasn't, confident or, wasn't doing great. And so Dad, I look at Dad and I thank him because he's a huge part, one of the biggest parts of the success of just what I've been able to do at Carson-Newman. Obviously, I want to thank Coach. Kind of mentioned how she was a huge part of it. I want to thank the rest of my family, my mom, my stepmom. I think my stepmom's out with my 3-month-old right now, keeping him happy in the hallway. My in-laws and my husband, like I said. It's just been fun to talk about this time in my life and share that. And my girls, my 6-year-old right there, Jenny, she's been talking all day at school. She's been calling it my graduation. So we're here graduating, which is, good. And then I've got my high school softball coach, Coach Moore. Him and his wife were able to come, and it's just been really neat to continue to connect. He will text us Merry Christmas and just keep us updated on Farragut High School stuff. And then my teammate and my roommate, Bree, she lives in Missouri now, but I was in her wedding. She just had a baby as well, and I sent her the link. I don't know if she's listening, but I just want to thank her for being there for me, and of course Whitney. And then at the table is my senior roommate, Brittany. She's one of my best friends. Her and her family live really close to us and we're able to do life, and I joke with her all the time. I'm like, you're like one of the only people left in my life that's actually seen me play, with, so it's been neat to go down memory lane with her. But and then of course I want to thank the Lord just for bringing me here, surrounding me here with great people, and then just giving those abilities to be able to play.
Jesse Howard, Hall of Famer. What's that mean to you?
It's an honor. It's humbling, and like I said earlier, it's a gift. Just being able to reconnect with people, enjoy spending quality time with, the people that we love, and seeing a lot of people here that I haven't seen. I think, you mentioned that you haven't seen in a long time. I have a little memory book my high school roommate's mom made for us, and we've been able to read through that and look at pictures, and so it's just been a gift, and I'm thankful for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jesse Howard. Next up, it's Chris Jones from the football program, an alumnus of 2011. He is the Carson-Newman football program's longest tenured NFL player. Chris spent the entirety of his playing career with the Dallas Cowboys from 2011 to 2020. Jones' powerful leg delivered 4 of the 10 longest punts in Carson-Newman history, including a 73-yarder against Winona State in 2009. Jones' 40.3 yards per punt average is the second most among 4-year players in the history of the program. For his career, he landed 46 punts inside the 20-yard line and had 20 punts of at least 50 yards. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Chris Jones. That is a very nice hat. Did that come with you from Rome, Georgia, or from Dallas, Texas?
I actually picked it up today on the way up here. So, yeah.
It was very nice.
Thank you.
Rome, Georgia to Mossy Creek originally. I think you had probably one of the more unique recruiting processes. Came up here to punt for Ken Sparks, and probably unsurprisingly, 30 minutes later, it was time to sign some scholarship papers. What brought you to Jeff City?
I honestly don't know when, how. I know my mom and dad could probably spit it out real quick. You're getting letters and this and that from schools around the country, and next thing I know is like, hey, we're going to Carson-Newman. I'd heard about it, knew it was a football, powerhouse, championships, this and that. Knew Coach Sparks, his legacy that was already, going at that time before I ever got here. But definitely, like you mentioned, a unique recruiting process. I'm expecting to go, tour the campus, see the building, see the dorms, football, this and that, and we did that and then some. Remember walking around, we came in, we ate some lunch, and he said, about 30 minutes, we'll meet you on the field. I had no clue. I thought he kind of set me up because we ate beforehand. But went out there, and come to find out, the long snapper, he's out there getting warmed up and had about a 45-minute hour workout / tryout, if you will, and went in his office, signed some papers, and 3 hours back to Rome.
It was early on. The quote from Ken in the Knoxville News Sentinel was, "He's not some flaky kicker, he's an athlete." What's that say about you?
I take pride in that one. You never want to be labeled the kicker, the head case, and I'll always, everybody out here, there's a difference between a kicker and a punter. I'm a punter. Okay. But you know, I mean, I always grew up playing. I mean, I played linebacker, quarterback, positions, that sort of thing growing up. So it was. Always knew I was more, but getting the recognition from, you know, the head man, that was obviously a booster.
I don't know this to be true, should have asked you beforehand, but I'll stick myself out on a limb here.
Go ahead.
You were recruited places to be a DB or a linebacker. One, is that true before I ask the second part of the question?
It is true.
Wide punt.
Geez, was I 5? When I was 5 years old, I said I'm going to punt in the NFL. And of course, like little kids all around the world, you're going to be a baseball player, you're going to be basketball, whatever it may be. And it's a great dream, yes, push, work to it, all that. But, and they'll tell you, I was the most hard-headed, dead-set little 5-year-old. I was kicking, any spare time I had, I was kicking a football. And I guess it paid off.
I'd say so. 43 NFL players in the history of the Carson-Newman football program. Just for some context, Carson-Newman has the second most of any D2 school. So for a school of this size, pretty good lick. You and Sanders Shriver are the two longest tenured. What do you attribute that longevity to?
First off, the position in which I played. Didn't get beat up, banged up, that sort of thing. But I don't know. I mean, just the drive. It's almost a. You can almost say it's a selfish position because it's stat driven, like anything.
Yeah.
But you know, apart from, I mean, you've got everybody out there, snap protection, like. Ball's in your hand, what are you going to do with it? It's like playing basketball. You got 3 seconds on the clock, ball's in your hand, you're going to make a shot. Like, it's kind of in your hands to that sort of thing. But I don't know, just the constant, I know I can do better. I know I can be better, whether it's distance, hang time, consistency. There's always something to better yourself, better your craft, and I mean, I think that was just the driving force for me, just not settling.
I want to go back to part of your the early portion of that answer, that it was the position that you owed to the longevity. And yet, if you Google Chris Jones punter, the second thing that comes up is puntisher. 2016, day after Christmas. You level Andre Roberts on a return on Monday Night Football, and thus the nickname the Puntisher is born.
Yeah.
So who taught you how to hit like that?
I'd have to credit that to my old man right there, All-American linebacker back in the day. I mean, that was, like I said, grew up playing positions, loved the contact of football and just the roughness, the grit, all that sort of thing. But in that moment, it was me or him. It was one of those. Luckily, all the returners are. I'm a small guy on that field, but the returners are smaller than me. So about 10 or 15 pounds on them. I said, well, it's you or me, and I'm not going to be that guy. It's like I'm hitting you, or you're going to go out of bounds. And we all know the result. So,
It's, punting is, it is an art form. In your head, from your time here at Carson-Newman, do you have a favorite punt? And then I'll tell you what Ken Sparks' favorite punt of yours was.
Ooh.
And we'll see if they match.
I'm not gonna lie, it's hard to pick one out, but at the same time, me and Coach Turner were talking when I walked in. I really didn't have that many.
Correct?
Whenever you're hanging 60 and 70 points, you're just doing a lot of field goal holds, PATs and stuff. It's really hard to bring one to mind.
Ken Sparks, and this nugget I tucked away. We shot the Ken Sparks shows on Sunday mornings, and I don't even remember the context that he got pontificating about this, but he called it the most consequential punt he had ever seen. And it was from your freshman year against Newberry, early in the third quarter. Carson-Newman was leading 21-19. Are you starting to
Starting to come back a little
Starting
bit.
to come back. You pin Newberry at the 1 on a 51-yard punt. A play later, Eric Rice forces a fumble. Dino Waits recovers. 1 play later, Alex Good punches it in on a 1-yard touchdown plunge. 28 unanswered. Carson-Newman beats the defending SAC champs 49-19. Is that the most consequential punt of your Carson-Newman career?
When you put it that way, yeah, I feel like it kind of has to be. I do remember that, though. I remember that was had a good little bounce out on the 1, and yeah, then the real dudes came in and did the work.
At the end of your senior year, you told a reporter, "I knew I had to bust my tail to stay at the top of the depth chart. Playing here has been an honor, and if the NFL happens, then I'm ready to roll. If it doesn't, then this has all been a great experience." What's your reaction to those words 13 years ago?
I'd say that still holds true. Whether I played beyond Carson-Newman or not, great 4 years. It was a great experience. Made tons of friendships. Had the most amazing coaches. I don't know what table that is back there. There's a bunch of them sitting. Is that 16? Yeah, 16 back there. Bunch of coaches. Just great men, leaders. That I was fortunate enough to be around, as I'm 3 hours away from home, but just a great experience. I think that sums everything up, really. Still to this day, it was what it was, and it was amazing.
Who'd you like to thank tonight?
First and foremost, God just blessed me with the talents, the abilities to do what I was able to do, to be healthy, to play ball, to, make these relationships and have these experiences and that sort of thing. Next on the list be my mom and dad down here front and center. From early on, I think they knew my heart, my passion, what I was gonna try to do, and they made sacrifices, and it was never I don't feel like I ever heard no when it came to something related to like what my passion was. Sundays was, when I was young, it wasn't get home from church, eat lunch, and all right, I'm going to ride bikes with my buddies, and I'll be back at the street lamp, that type of thing. It was, let's eat, and then, hey, you want to go to the church down the road? They got a field that's cut. I want to go kick. It was that sort of thing, and both of them just driving me to camps. We'd go to Middle Georgia in the summer, and we'd go to Auburn the next summer, and then we'd go to Auburn again the next summer. It was always something on top of them just being a constant guide, a constant, they're providing constantly. They're leading me in the right way, and clearly wouldn't be where I am today without them two setting the standard for me. So I think both of y'all. I'd say that y'all are definitely, you can't be number one, but you're number 2 on the list. So thank you for that. And I got my wife here. She wasn't fortunate enough to be a part of all this when it went down, but you know, she's kind of called the tail end. We met right after college, and you know, so she's learned a lot of this throughout the 10 years that we were in Dallas, and we've got 2 kids back home. Nobody would have been able to eat a quiet dinner tonight if ours were here. So they're back home with her mom. But yeah, I mean, just her constant love and support and sticking with me. You know, it's not always easy. I got the man that never gets the attention on the field. My long snapper, Miles Height, and his wife Morgan, both Carson-Newman grads. Become just great friends of ours, and keep in touch all the time. So glad y'all are here. We definitely appreciate it. I do. And then, like I said, I'll forget coaches, I'll forget names, but I know they're all over the place. Table 16, that's a solid. I mean, Coach Williams. I think we kind of caught up about halfway through my career, and you were in and out depending on job and where you were located at the time, but you were definitely a mentor for me, and you know, you were also a constant whenever I was up here by myself, you know, apart from parents and stuff like that. So I appreciate what you did for me. I mean, keeping in touch, checking in on me, my family, all that stuff, greatly appreciated. I mean, I could go around everywhere right now. I feel like I'm getting to the time of get off the stage, you know, hush. I mean, that whole group back there, I mean, y'all were the leadership that y'all brought to the table every day. You know, the late great Coach Sparks, just I can't say enough great things about him. But y'all set the standard. Y'all were Carson-Newman in a nutshell, and you displayed it every day. You displayed it walking around the campus, interacting with students that weren't football players, weren't, you know, may not even went to school here, just kids on the sidewalk, to showing up and busting our tails each and every day, and you know, on the football field and that sort of thing. So y'all have instilled so much wisdom and perseverance, and I mean, you name it. That's what we had to take and run with it every day. So I'm grateful to you. I appreciate it, and it's an honor.
Chris Jones, Carson-Newman Hall of Famer. What's that mean to you?
See, they want me
Yeah,
to,
they
want me
wanted
to
you
get up.
off.
I can. I mean, it's.
That was the cue.
All right,
Hey,
fine.
he's done. No, wait, real quick, and let's.
I'll be quick.
We'll go 30 seconds.
Whew, put me on the spot. I mean, it's humbling. I mean, like I said, it starts, you know, as a kid. You want that, whatever your dream, you want it to be attainable, a goal. But then, like, along the way, you hit these milestones, and graduated 11, so yeah, 12 years down the road, you almost forget some of these things, and it's like, oh, that's something huge, you know. So I mean, it's a blessing, it's an honor. I mean, the people that stood up that you recognize that were here in attendance that are already members. I mean, that's a heck of a class to be joining, and then the names on that list, they ain't no slouches either. So it's a blessing, it's an honor. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Jones.
Appreciate it. That was good. Thank you.
Next up, Alan Morgan. Baseball and admin, 1968. A member of Carson-Newman Baseball's 1965 NAIA National Championship winning baseball team, and the vice president for athletics for the university from 2012 to 2018. Morgan stewarded a department that made 32 trips to NCAA tournament play in his time here among its teams, and then saw another 25 individuals qualify for championship play. He's a former Knox County superintendent. In his time, he saw both men's and women's soccer programs play for national titles, and Carson-Newman's first individual national champion in track and field since 1978. In 2018, the athletic department finished 21st in the Learfield Directors' Cup standings, its highest ever finish. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Alan Morgan.
Sir?
All right, I couldn't keep Chris Jones under 10 minutes, so sorry, guys. Who knows how long this one's going?
Did you all know that Jones got this house at Bucky's on the way up here? Looks good, though, Chris.
You know, before we started, Tom Griffin pulled me aside and said, I bet you $100 you can't keep Morgan under 10 minutes. So how'd you like to earn $50 tonight?
Knowing Griffin, he wouldn't pay.
You're right.
Why don't we start at the back end and come forward, because these guys have taken 10 minutes to think, everybody, and that'll take me at least that long.
All right. Who'd you
Before
like to
we
thank?
start at the back end with me thinking, I'll tell you some things that most of you may
Should I
not
put
know.
the mic down?
When I got to Carson-Newman, we had a sports information director that left us in a very short period of time after I arrived. This young man right here was the first hire that I made when I was at Carson-Newman.
And his greatest mistake.
Adam Cavalier came from Marshall, was 25 years old, had just been awarded the most outstanding young broadcaster in the country. We hired Adam Cavalier, who was a single young guy right out of college. And I want to tell you, and be honest when I say this, we don't know how fortunate we are at Carson-Newman to have the caliber of support staff, coaches, and supporters that we have. I was blessed enough to be here to see it. Adam, shortly thereafter, married Leanda. They have two precious daughters, Serena, and just recently brought the second young lady to the Carson-Newman, Adrian, and they can't be here tonight. Leanda's home because that cat's never home working. But Adam Cavalier, Michael Watering, who did the Lady Vols in Florida last night, he broadcast that one on TV. That's the caliber of folks that are here in support of Carson-Newman.
All right, that's a minute.
I think we ought to give him a round of applause.
That's a minute that you've
for being
wasted.
here.
Talking about this old schmo.
I've been listening to the Congress, and they said, could I get my minute back?
That was pretty good. Who else would you like to thank? It can't just be me.
Well, let me just say, you get those questions, who you want to thank and how do you feel and all of those things. And to the person that's been up here, they say humbled. And I believe that to be true. That was the first word that came to my mind. And as Alex Haley, who was an author, said when he was writing the book Roots that most of us know about, said if you walking down a country road and you see a turtle on the fence post, which we've all heard, it didn't get there by itself. And I think we could all say that tonight that have been inducted in the past and will be in the future. No one with any success ever gets there by themselves. And I certainly am that way. So I want to thank God, number one. God, I was born into a family of Christian parents. And you may not know this, but my grandmother on my mother's side went through the 3rd grade. And before this building was built, lived in one of the lots right here. There were 3 lots with 3 houses. My grandmother through the 3rd grade, my grandfather the 7th grade. She took in washing from the students at Carson-Newman, and he was a night watchman here. So this about brings me back to full circle, being in the same location that my grandparents were. So I want to thank God. Great parents, Christian parents, and God sent me the most wonderful wife that anyone could ever have. And my wife Phyllis is here. And everyone that knows her says, Morgan, you didn't have a thing to do with it. It was all Phyllis, and you were right. But my son Chris, we have a son Chris now that's in the ministry that was also at Carson-Newman, and I won't get into his story, but he had leukemia between his junior and senior year here. Carson-Newman took care of him and let him finish his degree. So I have Chris and his wife now, Melanie, and our one and only granddaughter, Collins, who's the most special granddaughter. I don't care what any of you granddads say. Here, right, Collins? Here, my brother-in-law, Richard, and his wife, Cindy, and my nephew, Chad. Chad, give everybody a big hey there. But so my family, but beyond my extended family, when I said I was humbled, I walked in tonight not knowing if anybody'd be here, and I looked back, and here's this table. And I ran into Rachel, was Harper, Lucas, Sakara. They're now married. But Rachel was an All-American volleyball player. Lucas was an outstanding soccer player from Brazil. They show up tonight. They've lived in Texas. They came all the way back up here tonight for this event. Randall O'Brien, who is not here, the president, his wife Kay, they drove back in here from Iowa, 2 days to get here. Now they're going to turn around and drive 2 days back. And that wasn't very smart of them, I know. For no more than they're going to get out of this. But Randall pretended to be sick and couldn't come tonight. Well, the truth is, Randall called me and he said, Alan, I know Jesus turned water to wine. And I know that he healed the blind so they could see. He helped the lame to walk. But if you're put in the Hall of Fame, that's got to be the biggest miracle that God's ever created. And I want to be there to see it. Well, he's sick and couldn't come, but he sent Kay. So I appreciate Kay, you and Randall making the long journey from Ames, Iowa to come. And then we have a group that we started when we got to Carson-Newman that Dal Shealy started, a prayer group. And Phyllis and I were invited to join, and Bob and Lenny and Han and Amy and Earl and Claudia and Donna and Tom Harmon and all that group. They came tonight, and I want to thank you all. That was unexpected, and so I'm humbled. But I also want to say a true thank you. When Randall asked me if I'd come and take the athletic director's job at Carson-Newman, I said, I never expected to work another day in my life, and many of you wish I hadn't. But
That should have gotten more of a laugh.
it's not a real smart crowd.
Well, maybe you've been talking too long
Yeah,
and
maybe.
you've lost your audience.
Well, I'm taking my 10 minutes anyway. So I said, Randall, I want to pray about this, and I did. And I've never heard God speak to me audibly, ever. But after about 5 weeks of this, here's what I heard. And I had been retired 4 years. Boy, I've given you 4 years to rest your mind, your soul, your body, and your spirit. It's time you go back and you make a difference in young men and young women's lives and a coach's life. And that was my intent. And I hope we did some of that, Rachel and Lucas. And I want to say I'm humbled because many of the coaches are here that David Barger hired and that some that I was able to hire. But I absolutely, unequivocally loved those guys. I loved them. And I loved our athletes and our players. And God has blessed me beyond measure, and I am humbled and have been humbled to be a part of this great institution in so many ways. Those are the ones that I want to thank. So Chuck, Tom, Simon, Stephen, Mike Turner sitting back there with David Barger, and all these guys that I know I'm missing with Bob Trenimer, FAR, Mike, and all those guys sitting back there. God has blessed this old boy from Strawberry Plains who Frosty Holt said he still got cow manure on his shoes. Frosty didn't say manure. It's a little different in those days, Doc. But I have been blessed, and so I'm humbled, and that's the group I want to thank. Now you can ask your question.
Well, that was 7 minutes, in case anybody's keeping track. In your tenure, and oh, by the way, you took care of like 8 of my questions.
Well, I knew that. It's not mine.
You're giving
I'm
me
not
a break.
rookie.
I appreciate that.
I'm not a rookie.
You hired 15 coaches in your time as AD. 93% of those coaches you hired either won a title, went to the NCAA tournament, the coach was named Coach of the Year, or they ended up nationally ranked. What did you look for?
Well, that's a great question. Frosty Holt, who Gene Lively, a former teammates back here, he taught us many things, I think. And one of the things he often said was, hire people that are smarter than you, support them, get out of the way and get them what they need, and let them do their job. And so I think that's to be true. Now, it wasn't hard for me to hire somebody smarter than me. That was a given.
Again, you should laugh more at that. Why's your stuff not landing tonight, Morgan?
It's a dull crowd. But truthfully, I wanted coaches that brought great Christian values to the table. That was number one. I wanted coaches that were committed to their craft. Coaches that just knew that they were going to outwork people and that they were not going to make any excuses. And we talked about this as a staff. We said there's 3 levels of commitment. I'll try, I'll do my best, and I will. And if I ask a prospective coach the question, he said, well, we'll do our best to do that. That wasn't what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear, I will, whatever it takes. What did we ask you when you hired? I asked Adam, I said, we will expect to become the premier athletic communications program in the country. That's what we'll expect. Can you deliver that? And what did you say?
I said, I will deliver championship caliber athletic communications.
And he did, and he has. We said, we want coaches that will say, I will, whatever it takes. In the Army, it's unit cohesion, right? You got to be together. If you're going to be successful and win the Army, you got to be together. You can't have cancerous attitudes in the locker room. You can't have cancerous attitudes on staff. And so we were looking for unit cohesion, coaches that said, I will, whatever it takes. And I heard, this came from a coach recently, that said, and I believe to be true, for an athletic department to be success, there has to be a strict alignment from the president to the athletic director to the coaches. If that's out of sync in any way, you won't be successful. If it's in sync, you've got a chance. And I think Randall O'Brien set that standard. Hopefully we did as well. And I can assure you the coaches here delivered through hard work, commitment to excellence in everything, and certainly the student athletes did as well. That's what I look for.
Could you have ever imagined this moment happening when you got here as a freshman in 1965?
No, in 1965, I did set some records that even Gene doesn't know about. I was a walk-on up here, and the manager, Dickie Hitch, came to me one day and said, Morgan, you're going to make the baseball team. And I said, you're kidding. How do you know? He said, well, Coach Holt said we had this old boy from Strawberry Plains, still had cow manure on his shoes, but he could play a little bit. Well, I said, you're kidding. Because I really didn't expect to. But anyway, it was on the road, and we were at Mercer, Gene. Coach Holt came up in the cafeteria and said, Alan, I don't want you to get discouraged now. You're going to play. You're going to play. You just don't get discouraged. Well, heck, I wasn't discouraged. I was just happy to be on the road. I'd never been out of four-way in. And I'm down here in Macon, Georgia, eating in the cafeteria. And when I came home, Gene, the next weekend, we played the University of Tennessee. And that was the first game I ever got to start, was at shortstop. Sandy Sampson, for some reason, he put me in at shortstop against the University of Tennessee. And I had 5 at-bats that day. It was a great day, great start, and I still hold the record. I struck out 5 times. Well, I went to Coach Holt and I said, now I'm not discouraged. And we go to Tennessee a day or two or three later, and I had a much better day when we played down there. I only struck out 4 times, but I only came back 4 times too. So I went to Coach and I said, now Coach, I'm not discouraged. He said, no, but we are. So, but anyway, I played a little bit that year, not much. Next question.
How am I on time, Andrew? All right, I owe Griff 50.
Hold it down over there, Andrew. Hold it down.
Alan Morgan, Carson-Newman Hall of Famer.
Thanks very much.
No. You're not getting the same treatment Chris did. 30 seconds.
I'm still admiring his hat.
Well, it's not a platinum sombrero, though.
Oh, that's
That's 5 strikeouts. I have to explain too much to this group tonight. Alan Morgan, Carson-Newman Hall of Famer. What's that mean to you?
well, I think the first word that you've heard everyone up here say, and the first word that came to my mind, it's humbling. But the thing more than the award that's humbling is how my life has been blessed through folks that are sitting back here tonight who came tonight when they didn't have to. Coaches that are here who've come up and loved on me when they didn't have to. Student athletes coming back when they didn't have to. Former board members that came back when they didn't have to. And so I'm humbled, I'm blessed, and I thank God that He's given me the opportunity to join so many wonderful people at Carson-Newman University.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alan Morgan. Next up from the women's soccer program, an alumna from 2007. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Claire Ramsdale. She is a 4-time All-South Atlantic Conference selection and a 2-time All-American. Claire Ramsdale registers in the top 10 of 6 career statistical categories for the Carson-Newman women's soccer program. Claire was a member of 2 NCAA Final Four teams and helped guide the Eagles to 3 SAC regular season crowns, a pair of SAC tournament titles, and, by the way, the Eagles in the NCAA tournament every year of her career. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Claire Ramsdale. Well, if we were to give out an award for the longest trip to get here, you win in spades. Norway to Mossy Creek.
Yeah.
Well-traveled in general. Birmingham, England to Jefferson City, Tennessee, and now residence in Oslo. How surreal is this to go from Birmingham to Jeff City, then professionally in Norway?
Yeah, I got the call about the Hall of Fame not so long ago, and it's not often I'm lost for words, but blast from the past. I see so many familiar faces here. I haven't been here for 15 years, and I just remember that it was my friends, my family, how much Carson-Newman has meant to me and still does mean to me.
The success you had on the pitch, crazy. 30 career goals, postseason accolades every year of your career. Is there a moment from all that success, the 2 Final Fours, that sticks out to you above all else?
No, I would say my freshman year, Phil McNamara, our coach, of course, he brought in 10 players that year. We don't have 200 players on the soccer team, so 10 players in one season, that's a lot of players. And the talent that came in that year, I think he hit the jackpot. We had a really good balance between international players and those from America, of course. So the balance between tactical players, technical players, and athleticism, made us a really good team. And to be able to stay together for most of those 4 years with 2 or 3 additions, more than that, after that, we were a phenomenal team.
Carson-Newman was pretty good at the time when you got here, 11-7 before you were recruited. Lost in the sack quarters, and at the time that was the school record for wins. You say 10 players. Was that what changed year 1 to year 2? It was early in Phil's career. What did you sense? Why choose Carson-Newman, I suppose?
Well, that's the thing. Coming from England, I had no idea what I was coming to. In a way, I think it was positive because I had no pressure on me. I got this wonderful opportunity to come and play in the United States, and I had, like I said, I had no pressure. I was playing the passion of playing the game that I loved, and that first year met, the players who had played before here, and then all the players that were brought in shared that same passion. So for me, it was just to be able to play the game I love every day, day in and out. It was just a dream come true.
I think if you reflect on the quality of player from that era, it's insane. This is a Division II institution, and between yourself, Becky Angus, who we're still waiting to induct into the Hall of Fame, Julie Nelson, Christy Murray, from those Final Four era teams, you had 4 players from little old Carson-Newman on one team go on to play professionally, and that's not to mention, Erica Stegner, Jenny Bach, who's in the Hall of Fame. Lining up with that caliber, that quality of player, what did that do for your game?
There's no I in team. I'm thankful for every single player that I played with that they made me look good.
Do you have a particular win that sticks out to you?
Oh, it's funny, we were talking about this earlier. It's easier to remember the losses that hurt.
Don't go down Kyle Gribble's path and revisit pain. This is only joy here.
It would be a national tournament game here on the home field. I think it would have been Sweet 16. I don't remember who we were playing against.
Columbus State, maybe?
Yeah, it could be. I think we were the underdogs. And we won that game. And just the elation and the fans and everybody joining in that celebration to send us on the road. I remember that still.
Phil McNamara, you brought him up earlier. What did he mean to you as your head coach?
Oh, well, he's of course on my thank you list. For recruiting me, believing me as a player, as a person, then having to put up with me for 5 years. He made our team. I would consider him a friend also. A great leader, and you knew you had to work hard. It was, the discipline, but he also wanted us to have fun. The blend of cultures we had and backgrounds, it just made a really, healthy and fun, and I just have, only good memories for those from those days.
2 Final Fours, obviously, that's close to as good as it gets. When did you have a sense that those teams were at a cut above?
Well, I would even say from freshman year. I remember it was was it 2004 when the first Final Four?
Yes,
Yeah,
04
okay.
and 05.
And I remember that when we lost in the semi-final then, nobody wants to lose, but I would say I was a gracious loser when you first lose. That if you lose to a better team and you have given everything, then I can accept that, if you know what I mean. And that happened that year. But then we've still got these players for 2 more years. So I think it would say that at that point that we knew that, okay, if we build on what we have here, then we can be,
Your kids are in the audience. How old?
My eldest, Ruby, is 10. I don't know if she'll probably want to wave.
She is shrinking in
Yeah.
that chair. It's impressive.
And then my youngest daughter, Freya, she is 8. She'll give you a wave.
Do they
There
have
you
a
go.
clue the player that you were?
Do you know? No, I don't think they do. I am coach for my youngest daughter's team. I really enjoy that. I think I've been kind of humble. I come also from a different, we've talked about culture too, that coming from England, there is a little difference. I just want to give them, I want them to find the passion in a sport, no matter what it is that I found in football. Yeah, I love you guys.
Who would you like to thank tonight?
I will start with my parents. They're not here today. I know that they would love to have been here. I feel that they missed out on a lot of the experiences because of the distance. But of course, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them. They brought me up to be a hard worker and strong, and gave me the belief that I could achieve anything I wanted to if I put my mind to it. I want to thank Phil, of course, again, for recruiting me and having that belief and put me on the field from freshman year. I also, my table is number 8 here, and a story I'd like to share actually before I leave. After my freshman year, when I returned to the United States, I became really ill. And I couldn't do the plans that I had for that summer, and I needed a place to stay. And so Janet and Shelby, they invited me to stay with them that summer and help me out when I was really ill. And I remember when that happened, we talk a little bit about culture shock when I come from England. And not a bad thing, but I do remember I was invited a lot of places, and all these people kept asking me, how are you? We don't do that in England. And invited for Thanksgiving dinner here, and I thought it was really strange in the beginning because I'm not used to that. And then I just realized how welcoming, y'all are. So I accepted that, and you see now, 20 years later, they sat at my table, and 2 of those that I would like to thank the most because they were my family. And Julie also, same year when I was ill there, also opened the doors and took care of me. And Julie was our assistant coach my freshman year. And we hit it off from day one. And Julie also is at my table. There's 2 players I also played with at Carson-Newman, and I didn't tell many people I was coming this weekend. And then, of course, the word got around, and Stacey Thomas and Becca are both here. Really appreciate you, Stacey, especially making that trip on such short notice. Becca too. So nice to see familiar faces with such wonderful memories, and it brings back, I'm like tearing up.
Claire Ramsdale.
Wait.
Oh, no,
I have to
sorry,
thank my
I'm jumping the gun.
children. I have to thank
We're under 10, by the way.
And my children, of course, too. Of course, you make that, or have to evaluate whether I'm going to drag them 10,000 miles or however far it is. But I'm really glad we did. We traveled 24 hours yesterday, arrived late last night, so I'm feeling the effects of jet lag also right now, but I'll get over that. But girls, you're wonderful. Proud of you, and thank you.
Claire Ramsdale, Hall of Famer. What's that mean to you?
Yeah, I started off with saying I'm not often lost with words, but what an honour. Really humbling, really. When I talk about that, again, you forget in time how much it meant to play football here and be taken care of, and the networks and the friendships and that you build during this time. So I'm so grateful, humbled, and just want to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity at Carson-Newman.
Ladies and gentlemen, Claire Ramsdale. Next up, the Carson-Newman baseball coach from 1985 to 2000, it's Gary Rundles. Gary Rundles won 5 conference titles and finished runner-up on 4 occasions in his time here at Carson-Newman. He guided the Eagles to a Division II College World Series berth in 1999, en route to earning Conference, Region, and Tennessee Baseball Coaches Association Coach of the Year honors. He also led Carson-Newman to the NAIA World Series in 1993 and was named Conference Coach of the Year on 6 separate occasions. He has been inducted into the Tennessee Baseball Coaches Hall of Fame, the Central High School Hall of Fame, the Greater Chattanooga Area Sports Hall of Fame, and the West Alabama Athletic Hall of Fame, and the Tennessee Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Gary Rundles. Congratulations. That's a lot of Hall of Fames. Halls of Fame. Gary, what makes this one unique and special for you?
Well, Carson-Newman has always been part of our family. My father-in-law went here. I mean, his family started there. My wife went here. I went here. It's just it's very special in ways I guess I can't put words into, but you know, a Hall of Fame for a coach is because he had a lot of good players. And I've been blessed over the years to coach a lot of great guys. A lot of them are here today, but not only the players, but also the coaches that coached with me, the administration, to give you an opportunity to be successful. But this Hall of Fame, of all the ones that we're fortunate enough to be a member of, is probably the most special one, because Carson-Newman has blessed me probably a lot more than I've blessed it. So I think that just, you know, knowing the tradition that I've had from this place, what it gave me, there's nothing that compares to it.
I want you to take me back to 1977. You graduated from Carson-Newman that May. 2 days later, you get married.
Best day of my life.
Then you start a job as an assistant football coach at Chat Central. Then August, you were named that program's head baseball coach. That is a wild 3 months. How did that whirlwind help put you in this chair now?
Well, I think that, I mean, obviously, you know, every experience adds to it, but really, I have to go back to it's not Gary Rundles. It's not what I did. It was the players and the coaches that I was blessed to be with, and so the experience, I guess, you know, is great. You know, like I said, we graduated, I think, on a Friday and got married on Sunday, and you know, our journey started together. And I wouldn't be here today without my wife Joan and the support that she's given me over the years, and you know, so I mean, it prepared me, but at the time I probably didn't really know what it was doing.
You say that you're 1,000 wins deep into a career. You took the head coaching job here when you were 32 years old. What advice would you give yourself to a 32-year-old Gary Rundles, knowing what you know now?
Oh, that's a good question. First, I'd just say trust your faith. You know, I know that God has a plan for everyone, and He puts you in the place that you're supposed to be. And don't try to do anything except stay in that lane. And you know, work hard. Commit yourself to what you believe in, and don't let the people on the outside enter the world that you have on the inside.
You join this body, and it's the same body that's occupied by Bobby Wilson and also your father-in-law, Mac Lambert. What does that mean to you?
That's a great honor. I mean, there's no better person than Mac Lambert. He's my father-in-law, but I tell people all the time, you know, you get to choose your wife, but you don't get to choose your in-laws. But had I been picking, I would have picked a man like him. Coach Wilson was a father to us when I played here, and even when I came back to coach with him. I had the opportunity to coach with him for 2 years, and before he retired, and just, you know, his leadership and the way he treated people and respected people taught me a lot and let me know what I needed to do as a young coach moving forward. So, you know, I'm very humbled and blessed to be able to share this part of their lives with them together.
Two teams make World Series in your time here. When did you sense that 93 and 99 were going to be special seasons?
Well, I'll start with the 99 team because it was probably the year before, because we really thought we had a pretty good club. Thought that, you know, the talent was there. Didn't go as far as we'd like to have, but we were pretty young. We brought a lot of those guys back. And anytime, and if you've ever coached, you know that if you can bring the nucleus of your club back for another year, and they've had the experience that group had, then there's a very good chance that you could be successful. 93 was a little bit different. We didn't start off very well. We kind of started off slow, but then we hit stride, and I'd say probably, you know, mid-season with them, I thought that I really thought that we had a chance to do something special, and they did.
99, you've got a win over the #1 Florida Southern under your belt. You've got a 10-5 mopping of the University of Tennessee under your belt. I'll say that again, a 10-5 win over the University of Tennessee. Didn't land like I thought it would in this crowd. Do you have one that sticks out in that stretch?
I always think about the game in Gadsden when we were playing for a regional championship to go to the World Series. And the night before, we went all out that night and ordered pizzas and bought pizzas for the guys, you know, for before the game, for the next day. Hungry Howie, we'll never forget it. And I got a phone call about 4 o'clock, I guess, that morning. One of the guys called me and said he was sick. And then it was 2, then it was 4, then it was 6. And I don't know, to be honest with you, how many actually were sick that night from food poisoning from the pizza that we received. But I remember I remember calling Dr. Darby and, we need some help. We gotta have some help here. And he called in a bunch of medicine for our guys, and we started pumping them down. And they were sick. I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to play or not. Just to be honest with you, I wasn't real sure. So we got to the ballpark. Our starting pitcher ended up, I think, going about 7 innings that day. He would go out and pitch, and he'd come into the dugout and get over the garbage can. There's 4 or 5 like that that played, but they weren't going to be denied the opportunity to reach the goal that they had set for themselves. So, I think that game probably sticks in my mind the most, just because of all the things that happened.
What was the chain again?
Hungry Howie's.
It's a good chance to remind everybody that Domino's is the official pizza of the Carson-Newman Eagles. Stop by your Jefferson City Domino's with your Carson-Newman ID and get $5.99 off your pizza. They won't give you food poisoning. Thanks for the setup there, Gary. You didn't know you were doing that. Who'd you like to thank tonight?
Oh, gosh. We have so many people that have blessed us over our career. But God first. I've messed up a lot of times in my life, and steered probably in the wrong direction, but He never left me, and I was always able to find my way back. And so I give God the credit for everything that has happened. I want to thank my wife, Joan. She's gone through a lot just to be a coach's wife. She raised our 3 kids probably almost by herself and did an outstanding job with that. And I thank the rest of my family. Meg and Allie are here tonight, and her husband Wes. Unfortunately, Tim couldn't be here because he's helping Chevron make their money, so offshore. But, Coach Lambert, for what he's meant to me and the influence he's had in my life, my parents, my family, my immediate family. I was raised in a Christian home, and my dad, was a very strong individual that there was no leadway, and that taught me a lot about life, but it also taught me when I started coaching to realize that, to get to where you want to be, you can't stray away from the straight line to get there. And so many times I think that kids, I'm still coaching, so I'm still coaching this generation also, and it's a little bit different than, their passion and their love and the desire that they have to play the game like a lot of these people that are older did is different, just because of the things they have. But, like I said, my family is outside of God is the most important thing to me. And, I got Alan and June Silver, we got to Carson-Newman, like I said, I was 32 years old, and I was fortunate enough to be able to coach their son Chad. But Alan and I and June, our family became real close, and it's remained that way since, till today. That's why they're sitting at our table, and I'm honored that they could be here and do that. Dr. Maddox, president at the time, who took a chance on a 32-year-old high school coach, you know. Clark Bryan, the guy, he did a lot for us while we were here and getting started out. You know, David Barger, the athletic director, and just like I said, the support that you get, you know, and you have to be successful. You know, and I want to thank all the players, all the coaches that were coached underneath me, with me. You know, I share this honor with them, you know, and you know, I'll say this and you've got a great coach right now in Tom Griffin, and I'm so thankful for him because what he's done with the program from the time I left to where it is now, and he's done an outstanding job. And you know, when Joan and I left in 2000, it was tough. I mean, it was a tough decision, but we felt like the Lord was leading us to a different place, and we went to Livingston and never looked back. And I guess that's why we've been there 23 years. We were just, you know, we'll be there until God tells us that He needs us somewhere else. So, but I want to thank those people, you know, the coaches that I had the opportunity to coach with here from all the sports, and you know, just you know, they had a great influence in my life. You know, and I got to watch them every day. Coach Sparks, you know, this hadn't been mentioned, but Coach Sparks is actually the coach that signed me to come to Carson-Newman to play football and baseball. So, and then he gave me the opportunity when he was the athletic director to come back and coach. So, you know, so many people, I hate using names like that because I always leave somebody out, but, you know, we've, you know, we've just been blessed to be here.
Gary Rundles, you gotta believe you're a Carson-Newman Hall of Famer. What's that mean to you?
It's very special. It means that that somewhere down the line that maybe that we have, and then when I say we, I say Joan and myself, because we're in this together. We've had the opportunity to maybe make a difference in somebody's life, you know, and we know that even a lot of people in this room, in this community, and in Carson-Newman back years ago when we were students here, they made a difference in our lives, and so to be a part of the Hall of Fame, it's a humbling but very proud honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Rundles. We come to our final inductee tonight, and it's from the football team, 1998 alumnus Tyrone Westmoreland. Tyrone wrapped up his Carson-Newman career as a two-time All-South Atlantic Conference selection. He was the league's Offensive Player of the Year in 1996 and an All-American. In 1997, he became Carson-Newman's first Harlan Hill Trophy finalist, the version of Division II's Heisman Trophy. With 3,388 career yards rushing, Westmoreland is the program's sixth all-time leading rusher. He helped guide the Eagles to 4 straight SAC titles, 4 straight NCAA playoff appearances, and the Eagles' first berth in an NCAA Division II title game in 1996. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyrone Westmoreland. Congratulations. Could Mike Clowney tackle you?
Yes.
Probably one of only a handful of people that could tackle you. For all the great Carson-Newman running backs through the years, 100-yard rushing performances are kind of hard to come by just because of the option attack. In 1997, you became the first player in school history with 4 consecutive 100-yard rushing performances. What made you so consistent in that backfield?
Coaching, determination, Mike Clowney, which was, he was tough. He was like a tough running back. I mean, a linebacker. I'd never ran into a linebacker like Mike. And he would, you know, scale the field with his eyes, with his feet, the slide. I never ran into a linebacker like that. Never. But he was good at what he was doing.
There were a few guys like that within your own team that you had to avoid. Seth Killings, who's in this Hall of Fame, Anthony Davis, the all-time leading tackler. How much did being around guys like that improve you? Not only defensively, but you lined up with some pretty good running backs yourself in that backfield. How did they make you better?
I believe it was the coaching and the way the coaches had put us together and made us brothers, not teammates. They actually made us brothers, like live together as one big family. And while we were on the field, we knew we wanted a national championship. We knew we were going to take the playoffs, but just getting better. We had to outsmart the referees, should I say.
That seems like a cut blocking problem more than anything else.
Oh, no. They would just throw flags when we scored touchdowns.
Well, you had a few of those in your career, second all time. Do you have one that sticks out in particular? A score that is more precious than the rest?
I don't, but I do have a run that's more precious than the rest. I believe we were playing in Rome, Georgia, against Valdosta State.
One of the Nick Hyder Classics in
I believe
96?
so. And the score was 0-0. It was goose eggs. Valdosta had it out for us to beat us because we had beat them the following year pretty bad in the playoffs. And they was holding us down. We were getting ready to go into the second quarter, I believe, and we were on the 20-yard line. And we fumbled the ball, got back on the 15-yard line, and Coach Turner made a play call. It was to the right, yes, and it was a pitch on the out. Well, in Carson-Newman's veer, you don't cut back cross grain at all. He would chew you out. So, at this particular time, we weren't getting anywhere. Man was sitting right there in front of me. So something said in my mind, go back left, fast as you can. And I hear Coach Turner scream, no! And as I clear across, going back across the nose guard, passing him, Coach is like, yes, go! And that was the greatest one that I could do.
You remember that one, Red Man? Some all-time great performances. You had 237 yards on 23 carries against Gardner-Webb in '97. That was one of 15 100-yard days in your career. You talk about a run. That's obviously pretty fun. Is there a day as a whole that sticks out to you?
Not really. Because going back to Carolina I wanted to punish them because that was my hometown. And they basically had it out for me. It was a lot of players that I played against in high school in Carolina. So I can't think of any great runs. Maybe they do. I just played the game.
Yeah. You had 6,600 rushing yards in high school, 96 touchdowns, second all-time leading rusher in the state when you graduated. What brought you to Jefferson City, Tennessee?
I believe it was one night I was on the phone. I had 3 different colleges talking to me, and I had made a decision to go to Florida State. The next day, I had to take the SAT, and I found out that I didn't pass the SAT, but Bobby Bowden was willing to take me in. Well, he had asked me, he said, do you really want to come here? And I said, yes. And he said, well, listen, I got 3 teams that you may be interested in because they have your running style. I said, okay. One was ETSU. One was Louisiana State. And it was Hartgrave Military School or something like that. And I didn't want to go to none of those. But I asked him, did he have another school that he could, get me into to play this game of football? And he said, yes, I got Carson-Newman. He told me about Ken Sparks, what he liked to do. He liked to run the ball. And I said, well, I believe I'll take Carson-Newman. Lo and behold, I got up here, and there's 46 running backs. I said, well, I can play this game. I can play up here.
What was the moment where you felt like, you played a little bit your freshman year. What was the moment where you felt like you started to come into your own?
I really couldn't tell you. Because I had so much fun with my friends.
Mm-hmm. It didn't matter.
Right, it did not matter, not at all. But it was one day, I think when, again, Coach Turner, he had got talking to me and he began to say, listen, I see you making mistakes. And I was frustrated, And he was like, listen, you go out there and you have fun. Have a lot of fun. And I believe after that practice is when it all turned on and the lights began to shine.
Who gave you the nickname the Little General?
Oh my God. I believe my cousin did from North Carolina. He was a linebacker. And he always said, listen, man, you march that ball up and down the field, up and down the field, up and down the field. So he gave me the name, Little General.
Who'd you like to thank tonight?
Jesus Christ. My wife, my mother, my cousins, my good friends, Calvin, Branson, Mike Clowney, Rick. I have some more friends out here, Tanya. We all were the 98 people. So I'd like to thank them for coming, and coaches for having me and teaching me the things that they did. They kept me out of trouble. I was in trouble, but they kept me out of trouble. They kept me on the straight and narrow when my mother wasn't here or my dad wasn't here. They would give me good advice, things I shouldn't do, how I should stay up here at Carson-Newman during the summertime. Oh my God, I didn't want to do that. But stay up here in the summertime so I wouldn't go, get in trouble. I didn't understand what they were talking about. Don't go home, don't go home. I was like, what are y'all talking about? My mom and dad's there. But they were telling me as I got older, there was trouble ahead. And I couldn't understand that to save my life, but now I do. Now I do. I could see what they were saying when I had children.
Tyrone Westmoreland, Carson-Newman Hall of Famer. What's that mean to you?
The people of 1998 will have someone to talk about.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tyrone Westmoreland. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank all of you for attending tonight's ceremony. We do want to leave you with one thing, and that's the announcement of next year's Hall of Fame class. Next year, January approximately, we will induct another 7 into the Hall of Fame. And those who have made the cut: Leonard Guyton from Carson-Newman football, Don Aaliyah, longtime wrestling coach. From the baseball program, Gaines Cox. From the men's soccer program, Patrick O'Leary. From the baseball program, Mike Brady. From the football team, David Roberts. And our first golf honoree as a player, Mark Sweeney. Give a round of applause to all those individuals who will be inducted next year. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time, your attention, and for being here tonight as we honor athletic excellence here at Carson-Newman. Go to love and serve God. Thank you for attending. Again, don't forget, take your drink containers. Thank you. Get your glasses. That's 3 hours of sleep with a newborn right there for you when you can't remember the word glasses. Thank you. Drive home safely.